Siltforge remains a colony divided. After Canola's subversion to secure the construction of their tubeway bridge, tensions between the two sides have never been hotter. Even after ending Siltforge's dependency on Canolaville for food, Rosin is not finished ensuring Siltforge's self-reliance, throwing out plans upon plans for expanding the colony's production. With the remaining ruins and meander dwindling, Rosin's intent on creating a new source of scrap, an underground mine on the ridge high up above Siltforge. But that's not the end of the expanded production chains, as Rosin has his own politically motivated plans, moving into previously unclaimed territory by creating a massive mangrove farm in the neutral river waters of the dam basin. So let's get started on expanding production with the final episode of Siltforge Season 1. Hello, and welcome back to the finale of the first season of Siltforge. I feel like I owe a little bit of an explanation here. The long and short of it is just that there are going to be a lot of things coming to the channel with the 1.0 release, and I don't feel like I'm going to be able to give this series the attention it deserves. The plan is to one day come back to it, whenever and wherever that will be. But today we've got a few things I want to do before we can call this season complete. Now I want to leave Siltforge off in a good spot when we end this season, so the one thing I do want to take care of is going to be natural resources. We have plenty over here, but if we were to look at our wood, we're not doing great and it's just falling. With our metal over here, we've got plenty of ruins, but obviously these are finite and we will run out eventually. The ruins that we were using over here are completely gone. We have 2 more that we could utilize, but I want to start out today by building a mine. So if we were to come down here to metal, our last thing to unlock is the efficient mine. It's going to be 4,000 science points. It's 300 logs, which is going to be almost all the logs that we just saw, 450 gears, and 300 treated planks. We have a good number of treated planks. We're pretty low on gears and pretty low on logs, but without fully redesigning this industry space and boosting production, I think it'll be fine. We'll be able to deal with it. Our other main source of consideration is that for the iron teeth, it is going to pull treated planks regardless of what we choose here. It's either 1 treated plank for every 5 scrap, or 1 treated plank and 2 extract for 10 scrap. I will probably go the extract route because we don't have much pulling extract either compared to our production, but we will see. We'll run it for a minute and we'll see what ends up happening. I am going to build our efficient mine right here. And then while it's not really that long of a walk, I'm just going to pull our tubeway up here, which will require cutting a little bit off there and just building up. So that will all just be an efficient way for our beavers to get over here. We will also, of course, build some temporary storage so that they can move stuff about. We'll also turn this to a lower priority just so that they build the tubeway first, which will help them build everything else faster. That's just the thought there. And then I am going to break with my own tendencies here a little bit. And while this is still being built, I'm going to move on to the second leg of the resource gathering journey, which is going to be putting a mangrove swamp, that's probably the word for it, over here on this one high area of our reservoir. Now, this is normally underwater. I just let out a bit of extra water so that we could see what we were doing here. The first thing we do have to do is give them an access here, because otherwise they can't get down here. So we will build that. We will also use our newfound patch ability to get rid of all of these stumps. And then over here, we will need a forester and lumberjack flags. I'm going to try to prioritize putting them over this 2-deep area as much as I can, along with the path down here, just because that will allow us to kind of optimize the amount of area we can plant our mangroves. All of these will be cut down for wood, and let's just get right into it. This will also have the added benefit that positioning it right in the middle here will mean that our forester and lumberjack flags will be able to utilize as much of this space as possible. So let's go maybe from here. And I will put a platform there along with a few platforms there. And then we can just fit everything we need up here. We will need a way to get up to this platform from where we are, which will just be stairs on either side. And we will also build a path going this way, so that our beavers can walk all the way over here. As we can see, this entire area pretty much is going to be open for mangrove farming. So we will go from here all the way back. And we will then mark all of these for cutting. And one thought I do have in the back of my head is that eventually I may separate this area off from our general reservoir, where it still does feed water into this system, but it will also keep the water from getting too low on this mangrove area. That is something I do want to take care of at some point, but I think it's ultimately a bigger project than I want to take on today. So we'll do that some point in the future. But there is one more change I do want to get to. I put this tube-way station over here because I thought that the distance up to this efficient mine was too far for them to walk. And I can do a similar thing over here. This should hopefully be pretty easy. I think I can do it just by getting rid of this single mangrove plot. And then if I use a spiral staircase like this, I go double platform for most of this, and then I bring this tubeway around here. I can just put this tubeway station up like that, and we should be good to go. Now, I was tempted to actually put this tubeway station in the water, but I think ultimately that would not be getting us close enough to justify putting a tubeway station over there. But this one is going to get us no more than 6 spaces away from the tubeway station. So I think that's a pretty good use of space there. But with all that built, I think it's just time to wait for this drought to be over and for everything over here to get put in place. And now our mangrove swamp is being planted and our mine is continuing to be built. However, well, some just died, but we were having homeless beaver problems. I am going to rectify that. We are just going to build another level up top on these towers, I guess, that we have. The final level. And luckily this is pretty easy because we have spiral staircases. So we'll just go one up there and one up there. And then we will be at the right level on both sides. A lot more space efficient than it used to be with all of this. And then up top, both will just get another large barrack for beavers to live in. And that will end up... And that should, at an extra 30 beavers, be more than enough beds for the first season of Siltforge. And with that, all 3 projects are complete. We have our efficient mine, we have our mangrove swamp, and we have our taller towers over here. I did do 2 more things off camera. I replaced all the oaks over here with pines. These will not be cut down. They will just be used for pine resin. But we really don't need the small patch of oaks we had over here when we now have this big one and also these mangroves. And then the other thing I did... These 2 middle floodgates are now at a different height than the rest of them. This is to try to prevent that rubber banding that sometimes happens with the 1.0 update, where you will get kind of a flooding and draining of a lowland area like this. I've had some success doing this, kind of keeping it between 2.65 and 2.85. I don't know if it's the best solution, but it is the one that has worked for me when I have been playing. As we can see, the stream gauge here is going to say that it is just under 2.8. So it gives it that consistent flow rate that we were used to before with the old water physics. And we have one final thing to do over here at our efficient mine. We are going to set the recipe to scrap metal efficient. Now, I'm not 100% sure that we have the extract production to actually handle this, but I guess we will see, won't we? And with that all taken care of, let's move on to the second part of the episode. Rosin's efforts to expand Siltforge's production have not gone unnoticed. Canola looks out at the new mangrove farm, a product that used to exclusively belong to Canolaville, with disdain. Political maneuvering for infrastructure expansion aside, Canola had hoped the partnership between the 2 colonies would last longer than it did. It would only be a matter of time before the Beavers of Meander started to pick sides again, and so Canola knew they had to make a statement. One that says Canolaville will always value hard work, and the beavers that do it. But before construction of Canola's monuments could even start, Rosin catches word. He was fine with it, however, because Siltforge could build their own monuments, taller and more prominent, dedicated to the success and progress of Siltforge. So, it is time to start building our monuments. But first, I know I said I wasn't going to be doing any industry, but we do not have the plank production to keep up with this, so I am just going to give us a tiny bit more. And then once that is built, that should let us keep up with the demand that both the efficient mine up here and our buildings are going to require. I will also just bump this down a few workplaces to perhaps make that demand for treated planks a little bit less. But the plan is to split our monuments the same way we have split our colony. So on this side, the Siltforge side, we will have our 2 monuments of Ingenuity, and on the Canolaville side, we will have 2 monuments of labor. I'm going to start with those monuments of labor because I want to build up the treated planks that we are going to need for the Monuments of Ingenuity. So our Monument of Labor, I believe, is exactly the same as the Folktale one. This is going to be 1,000 science points and then just 200 logs. So we will unlock that, and then I will need to make some room over here for it. So we will put one right there, and then we will need to build some temporary stairs to make another pad for the other one. On both sides, we will take this labor monument and we will build it on either side of this house. And as we will see, that will be covering most of the area that beavers come over here to hang out in. So if they come over to the Motivatorium, which all of them will need to do at some point because it is the only one in the entire colony, they will be getting the benefit from these labor monuments. And then, of course, you also have the campfires and the workers over here that will be getting that benefit. And that was simple and painless. So let's move on to the other monuments. So we are going to build our 2 tributes to Ingenuity over here, which is going to be a bit more of a process. Because as we can see, we have 21 treated planks, and we will need 100 for each tribute of Ingenuity. So these are going to be 12,000 research points. They're going to be 400 gears, 100 treated planks, and 300 metal. So it is going to once again be waiting for some of this stuff to get produced. However, we did preempt this when we brought power over here in the last episode. So as we can see, these barracks already have a power supply attached. And as such, we really just need to unlock these tributes of Ingenuity. As we can see, they are gigantic. We will place them up here. And then they will need some way to get up to these tributes, which luckily with our spiral staircases, once again, will not be an issue. Since our beavers can build one up as long as they can get that high, they should be able to build these tributes of Ingenuity no problem. Now that will again cost us treated planks, so we're just putting these woodwork shops over here to even more work. But hey, what can you do? It's Timberborn. You need wood. As both sides of Meander raise their monuments, Kenna watches in dismay. It seems that there is nothing, no mutually beneficial collaboration that will wake up the two sides to how much they need each other. Sinzel, however, is not so sure. Maybe, with the right approach, the all but warring leaders could be convinced to stand down. It would just take a message both Rosin and Canola would be willing to hear. And so, the final project for this episode. Over here in Canolaville and over here in Siltforge, we are going to build our 2 Flames of Unity. And then over here, on the edge of Siltforge, we will start building our Earth Repopulator. Now, we will not finish it in this episode because it requires a lot of materials. 1,500 gears, 2,000 treated planks, and 2,000 metal blocks. We don't have anywhere near the ability to build this right now. And it's something that, once Siltforge returns, we'll have to work our way up to. But we can get started on it today. However, I'm going to start with this Flame of Unity. So this is going to be only 3,000 science points. It's 300 planks, 50 metal blocks. As we can see, we have all of that here. Building 2 of these is not going to be very much of a thing. The only consideration I have is that I'm going to want these elevated, so I'm going to have to build both of them plinths. Now, the easier one is going to be over here in Canolaville. I could, as always, build these out of dirt if I wanted to be material conscious, but I don't. So I'm going to build them out of levees and dams. We are going to build it right here, kind of in this corner. I'm going to, just for decoration's sake, give us a few dams. We will need a way to get under because we're still going to have our path running through here. I will also need a way to get up. This will be too high, so we'll build another level. And so we don't waste the end of the episode decorating when there's not much to do, I am just going to get this stuff out of the way now. And we will let them build that. And then on this side of the colony, we're going to mirror this design right here. I am going to want it to be the same height, which is going to put us, it should be at 10. So we need 4 levels, and then we will just mirror what we have over here. Now for this one, I am going to once again put some dams in here to break up the texture a little bit, but I'm also going to do something else to set this apart from our original plinth, because this one is much higher off the ground than the other one, which means that of course we will need a way for our beavers to get up here. Now luckily, since the introduction of spiral staircases, that is pretty easy. So we will just build a staircase through that they will be able to use to traverse up here. Now I don't intend to pay a ton of attention here, so hopefully this does not cause any issues, is my hope. And then we are at the correct height here, so we will once again repeat this one last, not that, time. We will make sure that our design is not causing any problems. So they will come out at the back here. And then up top on this, much like the other one, we will put decorations. And actually, since we have more than enough unemployed beavers and we have a ton of work to do, I will also give us 2 more builders' huts and just set them to slightly lower workplace priority than the other ones. And there we are. Both plinths at the same height are complete. Or mostly complete. We still have to put the dang flames on them, don't we? We'll boost this up one more level here. And then we will unlock the Flames of Unity. We will put one right here. And we will put one right here. And with that, all of our minor monuments are complete. So we have just one final project today. Over here is where we are going to put the Earth Repopulator. We do not have the materials to build this today, though we are going to start it. But to start us off, I do just want to build us a small little landing platform for the Earth Repopulator. Out of levees, of course. And much like we did in Siltforge, we will fill the middle of this with terrain. And because it's me, I will put up a few minor decorations to make it stand out. And with our landing pad complete, we will come down, we will unlock the Earth Repopulator for 200,000 science points. We will face it the correct way, and we will start building it. I am going to, of course, turn the construction site all the way down to 0, and we will let them probably put way too many materials in here right now. In fact, I am just going to pause it. As the sun rises over Meander, the torches are lit. Monuments to all three values of Siltforge, labor, ingenuity, and unity, stand tall above it. Looking out at the skyline, to Rosin's surprise, the bells of the colony start to ring out, signaling a meeting. He did not call it, but upon attending, Rosin realizes Canola wasn't the one who called the meeting either. To both of their surprise, it is Kenna who speaks. On the ridge above the colony, Kenna announces their next and final project. A device by which beavers could escape the bureaucracy and tension of Siltforge, launching themselves into parts unknown to start their own, better colonies. Hearing this, Rosin looks over at his old rival. Had he truly gotten so lost in his own desire to best Canola that he had lost sight of the reason he left to found Siltforge in the first place? They were significantly technologically advanced, sure, but wasn't this all about something else? Building a better beaver society? Would Siltforge still live up to what him and Macaulay had dreamed of? Or would Macaulay have felt compelled to journey away from Siltforge too in Kenna's new machine? Abruptly, Rosin joins Kenna on the Overlook to speak. To the gathered beavers' surprise, he pledges his wholehearted support, saying that the entirety of Siltforge will work to support Kenna's vision. Beside him, Canola pipes up. The resources and labor of Canolaville were also fully at Kenna's disposal. And that will be the end of Siltforge Season 1. As I said in the very beginning, Siltforge will eventually return someday, somehow. But for now, it is going to be taking an extended hiatus. But there is a lot coming up. We are a week away from Timberborn 1.0 launching. So if you want to continue to see new series as we get into that, then of course please do subscribe. As always, liking and commenting does help boost the video and help other people see it. So if you want to go down in the comments and say your goodbyes to Siltforge for now, then please feel free to do so. In the description, there's also a link to my Discord, which will continue until they ruin that web service the way things are going. So if you want to join that and maybe be one of the first people to hear when Siltforge comes back, you can find that down below. And finally, thank you so much for watching as they break ground on Kenna's last project. A new day dawns on Siltforge. Not one of tension and conflict, but one of cooperation and unity, with a mind towards the future. A day where Siltforge and Canolaville finally agree to push forward together.